Hi, I'm Marnie Pearson with SheLovesGod.com, and my guest today is Kirk Duncan of 3 Key Elements. And Kirk has a different take on what a lot of Christians call spiritual warfare, and you call it the dot people, right?
Yes.
Could you explain a little bit about what that is?
Of course, and of course the name's a little funny, you know, right. The dot people, but where it all came from I was doing a training class, and I have a big white board and a paper, and I drew a stick figure on the board, and I was trying to explain to the group what a dot person was, and I drew this stick figure, and then next to it I drew a dotted stick figure. And in that class, the name the dot people came to be. And so here we have us, who are a physical body, and the dot people are ones that don't have a body. So that's where the dot people came from.
Okay. Now, are dot people good or bad, or?
Well, there tends to be some good and some bad. And that's what I feel like a lot of people need to figure out is, who are they listening to? Like, who are they listening to? Because a lot of times people assume everything that they hear inside their head is their voice. And there can be many voices inside. You know, because when we're growing up, we listen to mom and dad, we listen to our friends, we listen to coaches, we listen to maybe our higher power, maybe we hear the adversary. There's all these different voices that we hear, and they all get inside of our head. And then as we get older, they all get assumed that it's our thoughts. And so I suggest to people to begin to pull those thoughts and separate them so you can start to decide who it is that you're listening to. Because most people don't do that. They think it's all one voice. But when I listen to people tell me stories, I can tell that there's different tones, there's different categories, there's different experiences, so it's got to be different voices, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes they're telling you, you shouldn't do this, or you should do that, and sometimes it's I. Is there a distinction between when you hear somebody say in your head you versus I? Or?
Oh, now see, that's a fascinating point, because as I train people to write down their thoughts, the beginning of the sentence is very fascinating to watch, because there'll be statements that say, I'm not very good, or I am not good enough, or sometimes I'll hear and I'll see people write down of, you're not very good and you're not very good enough. And so the I and the you, the way it starts out the sentence, tells me how deep or how much influence is being put upon their mind. And so if it turns into an I statement, it's like you've accepted that statement. If it's a you statement, like if you hear in your mind, you're not very good, to me it's a dot person standing on the outside of you trying to get that in there. It hasn't been accepted yet. And so I can see the different levels of acceptance. And if somebody can pull those thoughts and separate them and find their voice, their own natural voice, every time I've watched that person's results take off. Their results take off, their relationships increase, and they just have an increase in all different aspects of their life. But if they keep all those thoughts mixed together, it gets messy in there, and they usually run around in circles. And they have cycles and circles that they go through, and they don't get very far.
So you need to write it down and see what it is. And
yes.
Things are always a little bit more easy to manage when you write it down, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
They're swimming around in your head. They're
huge. Because if it's all in here and you really think you're going to keep everything straight inside, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's just there's too much going on, and literally just by taking those thoughts out and putting them on paper and separating it. Like I have 2 journals. I have a black one and a colored one. And so I put all the negative thoughts in a black journal and all the happy thoughts in a good journal. So I just separate it between 2 directions, good and bad. And so I can see on paper where these thoughts are going. And I started that about almost a little over 3 years ago, and tracking these thoughts. And oh my gosh, it's made a huge difference. Huge difference. I mean, my results show it too. So things have definitely increased a lot since I started that. Way cool.
Now, why do you keep the bad ones?
Why do I keep it?
Yeah.
I know, weird, huh?
Yeah.
Why would a person keep a journal of all the negative things they've ever gone through their head? Well, one of the things that I found out, like in the Dot People program that I have, is that as I have kept track of it, I have heard other people say the very statements that are in my journals. And so as I've kept those and listened to people around me, they say the same things that were inside my head. And so I've had other people keep journals and then bring theirs, and I open mine, and we compare, and it's almost word for word exact. That the things that were going, the comments that were going on inside their head and the comments that were going on inside my head are the same.
So they're running off the same script as they're...
That's weird. So in the whole spiritual warfare, I think the bad guys, I think they have a script. They have a training manual. And they use the same training manual on all of us.
Wow.
And so what I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but I'm going to be doing something with that black journal. I need about another 6 months, almost a year, and I'm going to do something with that. I'm going to turn it into an anti-training manual. so you know the plan.
Kind of like screw tape letters from C.S. Lewis.
Yep. C.S. Lewis, I can't wait to meet that guy. Oh my gosh, he was just wise. Right? I mean, this will be Screw Tape Letters 2 by Kirk.
So where can people learn more about the Dot People?
Well, if they, there's a call that I have. It's called the Dot People Training. It's a phone call that we do. It's 4 weeks long. There's materials that they get. There's a download that they get of PDF files. I walk them through all the systems and the training to be able to help people understand how it works. Because as soon as you get clear in your mind and you get that information out of your head, what happens next is then they go after other people to tell you those things. Instead of them telling it to you. Because as soon as I started writing my black journal, I started noticing that those same comments started coming from my loved ones and my family. And then after I helped them get rid of those comments, then they started coming from my friends. And so there's different levels that they work on us from. And so as soon as we clear it in our head, it starts coming from other people. So I have a phone call that we do, and I mean, they can get on my website at 3keyelements.com and give us their information, and you can make comments on there that they want to get on this phone call, because it'd be very wise. Because the battle today to me is right here. It's inside our head.
Definitely.
And because people can work hard, they can be really smart, and they can have tons of wisdom. But if there's one thought in there that's stopping them, it shuts down all that wisdom.
Exactly.
That's not cool.
Right.
So I'm here to help them.
Great. So they can go to 3keyelements.com. You can go there and find out more about Kirk.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.